This is Sybert signing into Red Alert 3 on the map Infinity Isle, but not as you have ever seen it before. Welcome to Ban Alert 3. On the left side as the Orange Soviets, this is Chris. And on the right side as the Green Empire, this is Fury. Soviets versus Empire, but have you ever said to yourself, those Soviets, they're no good. They just build the twin frogs all the time, and those twin frogs are just unbeatable. Or do you think to yourself, that dirty Empire player, all he does is spam Tengus all day, every day? Well, thanks to the ingenuity of the one and only XYHC, who very well may be inspired by a different game mode somewhere else, we have the ban mode coming to you here courtesy of Infinity Isle. Hopefully we get to see this game mode on other maps as well, but at the beginning of the match you get to delete 3 units from your opponent's roster. So in this case, what would you have deleted from a Soviet or an Empire player? We'll get into allies a little bit later in this best of 7, but we have got Chris and Fury. Chris is not allowed to build sickles, terror drones, or twin blades. By the way, place your bets in the comments below. I forgot to say that. And Fury is not allowed to build Tengus, tank busters, or sea wings. So Chris banned the Empire units, Fury banned the Soviet units, and that I find terribly interesting. Now, one thing to note is you don't actually know what your opponent is banning. As far as I can tell, there's a little animation that plays. You get a Eureka at the start of the game, and you kill 3 units that your opponent has, and then it reveals to both players what the other player killed. So you both get to see what the other player killed off, and you get a reveal to yourself, but then also your opponent gets to see what you deleted. Anyways, the expansion's coming out from both players. Third refinery's coming up. I don't think you can remove walls, although maybe you can remove base defenses. I'm not sure. Anyways, XYHC came up with this game mode. I don't know if he actually invented it. It almost reminds me of, like, if you're familiar with StarCraft 2 mono battles, it almost feels like a variation on that kind of a concept. But instead of choosing one unit, you are removing units from your opponents. Obviously, if we see some allies, then we're definitely going to be seeing some cryocopter bans. I cannot imagine that anyone would not ban cryocopters. But the interesting thing is that Chris banned Tengus and Sea Wings, but then he himself lost Twin Blades, so that only leaves him Kirovs and MiGs as stuff that flies around. And the only anti-air option that Fury has, oh my gosh, is the Chopper VX, is the Striker, which means that if Chris had banned choppers as well, Strikers, then the only thing that Fury would have, remaining is Defender VX cores. That could be really brutal. Flak Troopers, MiGs, and Bullfrogs, same kind of thing. Huh, you could basically delete an opponent's anti-air in one fell swoop. But anyways, that is what we have got going on. So base defense is still on the table. By the way, if you delete a tier 3 unit from your opponent, they get, I think, 1k extra starting cash. So if you got rid of Kirovs, APOC tanks, and V4s, then your opponent would get 13,000 credits to start with, and you would just have the 10,000 credits. So we'll see if that ends up being a factor. Anyways, ban mode, super excited to see how this plays out. Very interested to see what these guys do. As I mentioned before, this is a best of 7, and we're already seeing some weirdness come out of this up to tier 3 right out of the gate. I'm guessing Fury is hoping to go to Shogun battleships, get himself some land or some water artillery to start shelling everything that he can. No Tengus makes it a much more difficult proposition for an Empire player. that early game harass. I mean, I guess there's literally nothing. I mean, you could build a sudden transport or a harvester, but like there's basically nothing you can build with a tier 1 mecha base. So you pretty much have to go straight to tier 2, which I guess in some case saves you cash because you're not spending your cash on those 5 Tengus right out of the gate. But like obviously those Tengus are super useful under normal circumstances. But yeah, so I have no idea where these guys are going to go, but we are going to get to see some extra matches from them. It's not just going to be one match and done. Interesting that he's actually manually using the Stingray to charge up that Tesla coil, so I'm not sure if he's actually low power, but at the very least, I guess he's not because the flak cannon would be offline. But he really wants to keep this place safe. He wants to keep it safe from water units. Ooh, right out of the gate, the Imperial Docks going to get shut down. Now, if this Imperial Docks has been upgraded to Tier 2 or Tier 3, that could be a lot of cash down the drain for Fury. Chris going to be striking this docks and then possibly scooting around the map with his sharks to try and find something else to knock down. Not a lot out on the water for Fury, so no expansions to be cleaned up, nothing like that. But for the moment, Chris shuts down that naval yard, and it's just going to be Tier 3 on land for Fury. And of course, Chris keeping his own option open with the double naval yard to potentially pump out some dreadnoughts at some point. Crusher Crane is up, but no 4th refinery just yet for Chris. He's going to reposition his MCV, and Yuriko is here. So Wave Force Artillery, Yuriko, and King Oni, 3 powerhouse Empire units all moving through the middle of the map. No Twin Blades, no Sickles, no Terror Drones to get an easy kill on Yuriko. It's going to be bears. It's going to be, oh, we actually got to see it. The Wave Force Artillery does indeed blast through stuff, kind of like on Natasha's sniping ability. If the Wave Force Artillery is firing at something behind you, then you can actually kill stuff that's in between the Wave Force Artillery. Chris really bringing everything out that he possibly can, dropping bears. Now, we did see a Terror Drone spawn. We'll get into that in just a moment. These bears rushing for Yuriko, and they get the kill, but is it too much? Two King Onis and a Wave Force Artillery starting to break down these buildings. There's the, in fact, double Terror Drone here, causing some problems for Fury as he's cleaning up hammer tanks one at a time, but it might be too slow. We'll see if there's any more Wave Force Artillery on the way in just a moment. 2 hammer tanks do remain. 4 hammer tanks do remain. And these King Onis trying to do what they can. There's 3 King Onis here, and Chris just once more Terror Drone surprises. So yes, Terror Drones have been banned, but the same as if you were to ban Peacekeepers, Conscripts, or Imperial Warriors, you would still get them from selling off a building. So you just can't build them, but it doesn't stop you from acquiring them through other methods, such as the Terror Drone Surprise. Hammer Tank and a Bullfrog going down to that King Oni, but finally a Striker is here. The Bullfrogs have pretty much all been eliminated or pushed out to the water, as that one Bullfrog that's remaining is too far away to do anything about this Striker at the current moment. It's probably going to try and cut in here, but there's now 2 Strikers here, and they could jump on this Bullfrog if they get the chance. They're hoping to just stay out of range for the current moment. King Oni's circling around this Tesla Trooper, trying not to get too close to it. Another Bullfrog pops on out too. Now 3 Strikers are here. They jump on the Bullfrog right out of the gate, and the War Factory will soon be shut down. Chris with the MCV on the other side of the map. No, those are 2 Akula subs. I thought maybe he had managed to sneak out of there, but I think his MCV got cleaned up one way or the other. His Crusher Crane is really the only thing keeping him alive in this game. He's got no production facilities. He is pretty much out of luck. No production facilities on land, and a naval yard that isn't doing too much out on the water. That will do it for game number 1. It looks like Fury, with no Sickles, Twin Blades, or Terror Drones, Fury was able to take that game. And that will do it for game number 1. As I said, best of 7, so Fury takes 1 point. Let's see how Chris fights back in game number 2. All right, so this is what the start of the game looks like. You've got a Yuriko over there. I can't actually move the mouse, but we're about to get the reveal for what the 3 units that each player banned was. So as we can see, there is like a multi-gunner turret there. All right, so Fury banned Twin Blades, Bullfrogs, and Hammer Tanks, and Chris banned Cryocopters, Athena Cannons, and Hydrofoil. So very curious, Cryocopter and Athena Cannon, pretty obvious choices, But the hydrofoil I'm kind of curious about. I wonder if Chris is going to play into anything out on the water, or if he just wants to take that out of his opponent's tool chest. Now, one thing to note is with that Athena cannon going down, I do believe Fury gets an extra 1,000 credits, which I guess we can confirm, 9,000, 8,000. So, I guess Chris, somebody gets an extra 1,000. Wait, what? Does Chris get an extra 1,000 credits? I would assume Fury would get an extra 1,000 credits because he's the one missing the Athena cannon. But Chris literally just has like 1,000 credits more right from the beginning. He had, I don't know, maybe I was misreading that, but I think that's what happens. Anyways, right into an airfield, so Fury knows that with cryocopters missing, he still has an opportunity to do a lot with some early Vindicators. He can still dominate the sky with the Apollos. So let's see how Fury, up 1-0, plays this out with allies. Chris, on the other hand, no hammer tanks, no twin blades, no bullfrogs, and that is a tough thing to overcome. I'm not sure how Chris is going to manage this, but I guess it's naval yard or bust. He could actually go big on the Stingrays and then try and transition into something else, or maybe a lot of terror drones? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what Chris is planning to do here, but for the current moment, he is not planning a whole lot. He's going to pack up his MCV. He's not even getting a war factory. I mean, there isn't a whole lot he can produce from it at the beginning. I mean, terror drones and sickles, but those are relatively easy to defend against. Airfield gets sold off, so Fury may be floundering a little bit here. I'm not sure what Fury's plan is. Now going for the naval yard. I mean, Riptide's still a good option, especially for clearing bears. You know the Riptides aren't going to get knocked down by hammer tanks, so that's something good. I don't know, maybe Fury is expecting Chris to go big on naval. But at any rate, yeah, there we go. Chris goes to the high ground. He gets himself out in a third ore refinery. Fury maybe a little bit slower on that high ground transition. Yeah, so both of these guys, we can give them a little bit of grace just purely on the fact that they are playing this perhaps not with a lot of experience. I'm sure they've played band mode before. XYHC, it's been something he's been, you've seen it around if you watch the old XYHC stuff, which, by the way, links to stuff will be in the description, so you can check it out for yourself, and it's just going to be a turret push. So that's one way to overcome any ban, is you turret push the other guy. And I don't care about your ban, you didn't ban multi-gunner turrets. So what are you going to do about that? Boot camp right on the front line. Riptide's going to be following it up, and there is no naval yard, so this is pretty much it for the production. What you see is what you get. A couple of dogs coming right out of the gate. Flak troopers are here. Terror drone to lock down the Riptides, but that dog getting so many kills, and the Riptides following it up with some additional murders as well. The MCV moving forward. Is just going for the crush. There is not a lot of firepower here. No Athena cannon, no cryocopter. You don't have to worry about the old shrink ray. So that is one thing that is nice. All right, sickles are coming on out. The war factory got constructed on the low ground. Maybe Chris was thinking about the last game, and he was somehow thinking that he also had sickles and terror drones banned. But, I'm not sure. Chris, super delay on the war factory, but he is now producing sickles, and we saw the terror drone be somewhat effective earlier. Out onto the water, perhaps? No, Fury just backs up, decides to get himself a third refinery. And, he's going to be able to have a soft contain here in the middle of the map. He's not maintaining build radius there, so he's not super committed to that, but he might drop a war factory or, try and get out some Guardian tanks or something. I'm not sure what Fury's transition point from this is going to be. Dog cleans up the conscript. He's going to have to play this out somewhat non-traditional. I guess they both will. No Twin Frog at all for Fury, or for Chris, but lots of other options to, no, not lots. No hammer tanks makes it difficult, but some other options. You could always go Tier 3. Look to get out those APOC tanks. maybe just go, yeah, big on the Stingrays. Additional barracks coming up. Chris at 4 refineries. He's going to be feeling pretty good about that. And it'll be curious to see how allies try and play this one out other than, I mean, I guess turret pushing is the obvious choice. But other than just turret pushing everything, you know, is there any other play for Fury? All right, Sickle helps to clean up that Riptide. Harvester goes into its armor mode, and now the Sickles are going to be able to surround this Riptide. Cleans that up very easily. 6 Sickles, as it turns out, clean up a single Riptide very quickly. Oh, MCV just repositioned over here for the naval yard down on the ground, on the water. Seaport, perhaps more. No, it's going to be Dolphins actually coming on out. No hydrofoils, so maybe there will be something out there for Chris to do on the water. The Sickles aren't going to try and break the contain just yet. They're going to have a hard time breaking out of that multi-gunner turret, but I guess that's why the conscripts and the flak troopers are here. A couple of additional bears. 2 Dolphins coming in. The Stingray and the super reactor out here on the water. Stingray gets a good jolt off. Going to be able to overcharge the Dolphins, but not kill either one of them. So the second Stingray may get the kill here. We'll see how the control is. And there's the kill of both of the Dolphins. Nicely done there by Chris. And it gives him time to get out an additional Stingray as well. Toxins to clear up the barracks. And actually the Riptide steps forward, missing a bit of an engagement here on the high ground. But the Riptide will be dealt with. And for now, the boot camp is completely useless. So more Riptides are coming out. An assault destroyer as well. And again, no hammer tanks, no twin blades to hunt that baby down and kill it nice and easy. Makes this a very difficult hold for our Soviet player. If you're not going to go straight to Tier 3 for APOC tanks, then stopping an assault destroyer is quite a difficult thing. There's the stop command for that ore collector. Cryo shot fires off, and that ore refinery may not be long for this world. A perfect building block there, using the reactor as the Sickles come around the right side, and they're going to clean themselves up. Another Riptide almost gets it, but not quite. I guess, really, Terror Drones become a really effective tool to potentially kill off an assault destroyer. Well, flak mines also a really good choice. They do a good chunk of damage if you can get them up close, but of course the Riptides there mean that the assault destroyer doesn't take that much. And no, in fact, you need more than just the one terror drone with this many Riptides around. Another Dolphin is here. The Stingray out on the water. The Dolphin may be able to... Nope, he does not get past the defenses. Chris still maintaining the 4 refineries. Good on Chris for being able to maintain those. Keep all 4 of them working. Keeping that assault destroyer alive, so important for Fury. A lot of the strength of allies does indeed come from their ability to maintain cost efficiency. Of course, that's a big part of what the Cryocopter is doing. But in this case, well, the Javelin Soldier did not get the kill on that refinery, but it looks like this aircraft carrier will. And I think the Dolphin did eventually go down. Chris not quite back to work out on the water just yet. Gets back to work right there. The aircraft carrier is now a little bit less defended with that assault destroyer going down. More Riptides possibly coming out. And I guess the aircraft carrier and the Riptides are going to have to deal with Akula subs and Stingrays, as the Akula sub going to get the kill on that Riptide and could go ahead and ultra torpedo that aircraft carrier. Refinery goes down. The Harvester survives for the current moment, and the Terror Drone is going to try and go for the kill on that Riptide, or keep the Riptide out of the fight rather. Aircraft carrier can't get enough distance. Beautiful kill there by that Stingray, getting himself a fully heroic status, and Fury having some trouble, but he's also killing Refinery. So he's knocked down the economy of Chris, but at the same time, Chris making some really good headway against the forces of Fury. The Stingray gets caught, but a second Akula sub shows up, so these Riptides are dead in the water if they stick around. And goodbye Naval Yard. No more aircraft carrier, but there is a sentry bomber, if nothing else. Sentry bomber down to half health. backs off. Riptide's going for the tier 3. Third refinery gets cleaned up by the Riptide, or by the Sentry Bomber, it looks like, based on the bombing run pattern. Airfield gets established. Chris, with no refineries left, no oil derrick. Whatever cash he's got in the bank is what he's got. He's going to go ahead and sacrifice these ore collectors, I should think. Yeah, that gets him $2,000. So he's going to have that going for him. Could send the Stingray in there as well. And Sentry Bombers will get the War Factory just as an APOC tank emerges. No MiGs on the deck yet. Maybe even selling off the wall segments. Maybe every dollar is what you need in this case. Chris trying to get up one refinery. No good spot to drop it, so he puts it next to the MiGs. He at least has that going for him. The APOC tank is trying to win a battle with a Javelin soldier, but now that there won't be any additional Javelin soldiers running out of that barracks, he can go ahead and jump on the barracks, jump on that multi-gunner turret. The Sentry Bombers looking for an angle. One, maybe two MiGs have been produced by Chris, and he's going to just go for the kill on these Sentry Bombers. Cleans up everything out here on the water. One Sentry Bomber down, so that's good. Chris managing to get a kill here. No second MiG. Unfortunately for Chris. Akula Sub's still not finding any target. Oh, the spy! Oh, it was a spy. Chris loses the APOC tank. Are you kidding? As the Flak Troopers also switch sides for a mere $1,000. But the Bear is going to clean up some, well, not quite, as the Peacekeeper gets the kill on the Bear. Cryoblast firing off, and Fury will not be stopped. The APOC tank changing sides, and Chris must just be flattening his keyboard here. Oh my gosh, what a play from Fury. What an amazing comeback he just managed to pull out of there. Oh, wow, that must have been so frustrating for Chris. I feel for Chris, but that'll do it for game number 2. Let's see what happens in game number 3. And we're kicking it with another Allies versus Soviets. Place your bets. What do you think they banned in game number 3? As the green Allies, this is Fury. And as the orange Soviets, this is Chris. By the way, a big thanks to the folks who support me over on Patreon. I use it very much like a tip jar. If you're wondering why aren't there any bears, well, that is your first clue. Now, big thanks to the Oz Media, the Arbiter, Dimitri K, Isaac H, Hendrik B, Pierce D, and Sarador, or Carador, as well as David R, Chew PL, James, Caleb V, Joel S, Tyler L, Yuri S, The Bird is Watching, Cameron H, Merrick N, and Fedon C, or Fedon? Fedon? Anyways, big thanks to those newcomers. That was the second group. And we have got an Allies versus Soviets, but you will not be seeing any cryocopters, any Athena cannons, or any Sentry Bombers. Were you right? I mean, I get it. Sentry Bomber, Cryo, and Athena. Sentry Bomber's really doing a lot of work in the last game. But then we have Bullfrogs, Bears, and Flak Cannons. So Hammer Tanks, Twin Blades, back on the table. And I guess Fury is thinking that as long as he keeps his anti-air options down, that is going to be a big portion of his winning strategy. We shall see. Bullfrogs don't matter if you don't ever plan on building an airfield, but I guess, I don't know. I'm not sure about the ban of air stuff, and then, you know, it seems like, or ban of anti-air, but then he's not going to be utilizing Vindicators. I guess he's worried that he'll just build MiGs, but in which case, I don't know. It's like, it's a weird mind game where you're banning stuff, but then you're not necessarily playing into all of those bans. Like, you know, you could build Riptides anyways, and then you could have just gone for Sickle, Hammer Tank, Terror Drone ban and just built a million Riptides anyways. I don't know. Anyways, we're going to see how Fury and Chris are playing this out. Chris going for a high ground refinery before his super reactor, And it looks like it's going to be a water expansion for Fury. Fury also taking the observation post in the middle of the map. Chris not yet grabbing his oil derrick, but Fury already losing his oil derrick to the sickles. So that's one change for Chris, is this 5 or 6 sickle hit squad from the beginning of the game. Javelin soldiers jumping inside of those riptides. That would be something that would be good to ban. Maybe cryocopters, javelin soldiers, and riptides, which really would cut out a big chunk of the allied force. You'd still have to deal with assault destroyers and the rest of the air forces of the allied player, but that would be an interesting thing to take out. Just thinking of all of the times that Vindies, with just a couple of Javelin soldiers inside of a Riptide, has done some massive damage to his opponents. Javelin soldiers going to be getting jumped on by this big group of sickles. The help of the Terror Drone being somewhat not useful here, as nothing getting infected or not using the Terror Drone to draw the fire of any of these Riptides. Will use it to stop them from retreating. 4 sickles going to be able to overwhelm these couple of Riptides. And, well, 3 sickles, 3 Riptides, but a couple of them are very high health, and now a multi-gunner turret going to be getting in on the action. And Chris has bought himself a lovely amount of time and really stopped that attack from ever crossing over to the other side of the map, right into 2 MiGs. So Fury has not built, I think, a single aircraft. Never mind, he's got an airfield coming in here. So I was going to say, you know, he hasn't built a single aircraft, and other than that last game where he only built Sentry bombers, he really hasn't done much to warrant building MiGs like this. But Chris is going to be super happy about the MiGs as he gets up to Tier 3, finally gets an engineer to grab that oil derrick, and I don't know, he could drop a couple of... Oh, he actually grabbed the observation post first, so he built an engineer and sent it forward rather than sending it back to the oil derrick first, and then gets the oil derrick second. He could also drop a couple of sentry guns near the middle of the map or a couple of Tesla coils just to delay any push because he's going for that Tier 3 tech. The MiGs catch an Apollo, scare it away, and that, of course, does confirm very nicely to Chris. Also, he has Twin Blades. Twin Blade Hammer Tank is pretty good combo overall, and we'll just see. Chris, on the other hand, has a lot of Apollos to potentially worry about, but MiGs, you know, I guess he doesn't have flag troopers, but MiGs can deal with the Apollos as long as he maintains good numbers, and at the current moment, he's doing that. Apollos, I believe, like, win in a straight-up fight, but one advantage that MiGs have is the splash damage, and Chris nearly catching that Apollo, but barely misses it, and there is going to be the Kirov, the reveal, and the scout. Perfectly timed by Fury. Chris didn't ban hydrofoils also, so that may be something that Fury is able to play into. Maybe he's able to draw this stuff out over the water. Toxins just a moment too late. Can Fury stop the Kirov? We shall see. No Twin Blades just yet from Chris, so he's not doing any big Twin Blade action, just now going to be packing them up. And actually, he's getting himself a second airfield as well. So really curious to see what Chris is planning on doing, because this walling up this middle of the map might play very nicely into what Chris wants. 8 MiGs can do a lot of damage, especially if you're able to draw them in over a flak cannon or 2. The Apollos dive in. They manage to catch the MiGs, but the MiGs get the first shot off. This is 5 MiGs in the pack against just the 4 Apollos, and an additional MiG does show up. Now, keep in mind, a couple of those MiGs were low health, which is why you saw some of their numbers exploding a bit more, and why a lot of Soviet players will drop their Crusher Crane next to their airfield, get those repairs right there, nice and ready. You gotta try and do something about that. But the Kirov is just not ready to be dealt with. Javelin soldiers are a little bit late to the party, And, well, there's 2 of them out right now, plus the multi-gunner turret, and that will be enough to do some damage, but, well, 2 of them go bye-bye, and there's the barracks getting eliminated. The airfield is going to be the next target, and I imagine the refinery will be the target after that. Riptide's coming in here. Riptide's with a bunch of Javelin soldiers to shut down the aircraft production, forcing the sell-off, and the battle lab will be the next target. So refinery for a refinery, but it's going to be Javelin soldiers trying to break down this refinery here on Chris's side of the map. The Riptides all get dealt with, those hammer tanks doing wonders here for Chris, and a reactor body blocking that battle lab, but only for a moment. And eventually it does go down. The refinery survives for just a bit longer as the wall segment gets rebuilt, and the Kirov has actually survived, going up to fully heroic, and Fury is almost out of options. He's about to be losing so much infrastructure out on the water. He's just now getting his war factory up and running, and finally that Javelin soldier goes down. That twin blade earning its stripes, but Fury has been defeated. Chris puts a point on the board. Sentry bombers, cryocopters, and Athena cannons, a winning strategy for Chris, banning those units, but also having access to having access to hammer tanks and twin blades, definitely playing a help there. Although Chris, he's onto something with this sickle terror drone action. It definitely doesn't work well against Vindicators, but it's something that I don't know. I feel like there might be something there. Anyways, maybe it's just in ban mode that sickles are good. That'll do it for game number 3. Let's see if Chris continues the comeback in game number 4. What are your guesses for game number 4? Will you score, or will you be a loser? I guess a couple of these things are obvious, but other than the most obvious ones, it really is a really difficult thing. This is like March Madness, getting the whole bracket right or something. Anyways, on the left side of the map, as the green allies, it's Fury. And on the right side, currently killing it with the orange Soviets, this is Chris. Ooh, double barracks right out of the start. What is your guess here for game number 4? You don't have to write it in the comments, but just in your own head, what is it? Or actually say it out loud, and then it'll be real. If you say it out loud, it's real. If you say it in your head, it doesn't count. Anyways, as Fury will not be able to build sentry bombers, cryocopters, or Vindicators. It's all Apollos for this boy, but he can, of course, get himself those delightful Athena cannons. We'll see if that plays into anything. Could be a lot of War Factory-based forces for Fury. And Chris can't build bullfrogs, pretty obvious, terror drones, or flak troopers. So that is what Chris is being denied. The dog gets the scout as the War Factory gets established. Hammer tanks could be on the menu once the super reactor comes up and running. Or maybe it's going to be another airplay. Kirovs, Twin Blades, MiGs, those are all options. And with no Vindicators, which Fury hasn't even been making any use of, and no cryocopters, which is, the most obvious thing to ban from the Allied arsenal, I'm curious what Chris is planning to do. For now, it's just a ton of conscripts as he moves in with the bears as well. The Riptide going for the kill, but not quite going to be able to stop the bears, at least not in the first push. Peacekeeper finally jumps into that IFV, and these conscripts will be dealt with. But I feel like Chris kind of was thinking this would happen and just wanted to buy some time. Looks like his MCV getting bugged out a little bit there, not quite running forward and doing something. One IFV goes down, but the sickles have finally arrived, and I think this is what Chris was waiting for. He wanted to get out a big group of conscripts, so many that he would be able to overwhelm low numbers of opposing infantry and then transition into a bunch of sickles. No terror drones to make this more efficient, but he's got the sickles here to overwhelm the forces of Fury, and no Vindicators means that this is a hard thing to stop early on. Yeah, you need those Guardian tanks. You need to get up to that tier 2 before you can really cut down on these sickles, and they're actually successfully harassing this harvester. They're going to get a kill. Chris is actually onto something here. Again, it only works with no Vindicators, but he is onto something. These sickles are actually doing phenomenally for Chris. He's getting himself a third refinery on the high ground, and he can transition into super reactor and his own tanks. This is something that could definitely be potentially refined. Bear blocking the water expansion, and he needs flak troopers would be nice in this moment, of course, to stop the Guardian tank, but no flax, so it's up to the sickles. It's up to the sickles to try and make something happen here. I guess he could have gone sentry gun as well. Try and shut down this Guardian tank. Build some extra wall segments, you might as well. Sickle going for the kill on this Harvester, trying to shut down the economy of Fury. We won't get the kill on that second Harvester, but pulled it off the line for a good while. And again, as long as Chris can keep Fury not over here killing stuff of Chris's, it buys him more and more time to get out more and more hammer tanks. Airfield also coming along nicely. The IFV, the single IFV, can be dealt with. Riptide's going to be the transition for Fury. He's looking to clear out that water, clear out these bears, and potentially take himself a third refinery, something he's been needing to do for a little while now. 2 hammer tanks are out. They're going to go door to door. They're going to go toe-to-toe, rather, with this Guardian tank. IFV going for the harass, but again, IFV can be dealt with. Might need 2 twin blades to do it. Not actually sure. Does one IFV beat a twin blade? I think the IFV wins in that situation, because IFV has pretty good anti-air rockets. Ore collector will be saved by these hammer tanks. Chris can get himself back online relatively soon, but not quite this moment. 4 hammer tanks. Follow up with some twin blades. This could be a difficult thing for Fury to stop. I guess the real trouble is the MiGs, because you don't have the bullfrogs. That's the real trouble, is like, you got to keep those MiG numbers to beat the Apollos. Otherwise, the Apollos will just shred your twin blades, and you can't stop it, because no flak troopers and no bullfrogs. It's a difficult equation. Chris seems to be coming up with some answers. Using the sickles, I feel like sickles are having a heyday with this ban mode. Sickles become so much better when you lose the Vindicators. I mean, still, Soviet players get some value out of sickles, but so much better. Hammer tanks moving across the map, and it looks like this Riptide is going to try and do some damage around the other side, but he's going to have to stop all of these hammer tanks one way or another. This might be a bit of a base trade as they kill off infrastructure. Reinforcements could be enough to stop this Riptide. We'll see if Chris is paying attention. He doesn't turn his hammer tank around, but he should have another one. No, he doesn't have anything constructing. So this Riptide, which I assume this Riptide has Javelin soldiers inside of it, but it may not actually. It might just be a lonely Riptide, which would actually be relatively easy to defeat. I was assuming there was a couple of Javelin soldiers inside of that Riptide, but yeah, without Javelin soldiers, this is actually going to be pretty easy for Chris to stop, so maybe a bit of overhyping how much that Riptide was actually going to be able to do. Double guns on this fully heroic hammer tank. Fury has been defeated 2-2. Chris takes another win. Chris putting some points on the board, but also figuring out these bans against allies. Chris just dominating allies when they don't have cryocopters and Vindicators. Sentry bombers less so of a factor in this game, but yeah, Vindicators really hurting the allied arsenal, which is, you know, obviously if you take out something that they were designed to have as a tool, it really hampers them, which is pretty obvious. But that'll do it for game number 4. Let's see what happens in game number 5. All right, we are going to experience this one together. Again, I can't decide if I like the mystery of just doing the regular intros and then revealing what the 3 units are. Looks like an IFV just got sniped, so I guess it's Soviets versus Allies again. And all right, Hammer Tank, Terror Drone, Sickle, Cryocopter, IFV. That's a multi-gunner turret, I think. I think that means no multi-gunner turret pushes, so this will actually be really interesting. Now, we still have Vindicators and Apollos, but let's get these introductions underway, and then let's talk about the remainder of these games, because we have got ourselves at a 2-2 situation. On the left side, as the orange Soviets, this is Chris. And as the green allies on the right, give it up for Fury. Fury and Chris playing an entertaining, wonky series for us today. And I've seen enough of this Allies versus Soviet stuff. I'm really curious to see how Allies versus Empire plays out with a couple of bans. And then something that I've been kind of thinking, is 3 bans too many? Would 2 bans be a better version of this game mode? I mean, once you get into 3 bans, like, you can do some serious damage to someone's lineup with 3 bans. But would 2 bans maybe be a little bit better, so that you can ban those those two things that you really hate, or you can try and play into a strategy by banning those 2 things, or maybe 3 is the right number. I don't know. But I'm curious to see how an allied player is going to play this out without any multi-gunner turrets. That is something that is quite difficult because, of course, that's their anti-air and anti-ground defense, you know, until Prism Towers or Spectrum Towers, which, you know, don't shoot up. So there's literally no anti-air base defense now. And without an IFV, it's just pretty much down to the Apollos. You still have the Javelin Soldier, sure, but I think that might be why we're seeing we're seeing a decent amount of Bears and Conscripts coming out from Chris. I would really love, and I don't know how many more games we're going to get with these 2 or what they're going to choose, but I would really love to see another Empire versus Soviets, because we only got to see one of those, but I would love to see 3 or 4 games, which, I mean, we literally can't do because this is game number 5 of a best of 7, but I would love to see 3 or 4 games of Allies versus Empire. I feel like, I don't know, like Vindies. Who plays Empire? And a good Empire player, you know, someone who's creative with allies like Vindies, who doesn't just play the exact same Cryo Rush every game, but a good Allies player and a good Empire player could definitely do like a really fun dance. Obviously, Tengus and Cryocopters would pretty much be permabans, but other than that, I think you would kind of rotate, like maybe one time as the Allied player, you ban Tengus, Chopper VXs, and Tsunami Tanks. And then the Empire player has to play this really Navy-focused infantry kind of game. But of course, if you're the Allied player, you know, if they don't ban all of your aircraft, then you have a huge advantage of, you know, none of the Empire infantry shoot up, and you just took out their Striker and their Tengu. So I think there are a lot of interesting options there, and I think this is going to be something that I certainly hope we revisit, and certainly something that I hope XYHC ports to other maps, and then also continues to refine with time. I think the ban game mode could be a really there could definitely be an entire tournament that is just ban mode. I think it could lead to a lot of interesting games. You might want to keep this series shorter, rather than making a bunch of best of 7s, best of 9s kind of thing. Do more like best of 3s and best of 5s, because this is also one of those game modes that could be very frustrating if you get sort of a bad luck of the draw. The stuff that you banned was stuff that they weren't really going to use, or the stuff that they banned kind of negates what you banned for them. And, you know, everyone is going to be feeling like they're at a disadvantage no matter what, but there could be some ways that the bans really work against you in a way that you can't prepare for. Anyways, this game has been developing fairly straightforward. We've been seeing a lot of Vindicator action and a slow build-up from Fury, but Chris has not been too explosive himself. He's been doing a little bit of pushing here and there, but, I mean, really, he was just using a bunch of the infantry, and we'll see what else he's able to do now that we're up to 3 refineries, now that we're kind of powered up to our super reactor, all of that kind of stuff. What exactly is Chris going to be building? I've actually already forgotten what got banned from him. But, I guess it wasn't Flak Troopers or Conscripts or Bears, because we got a lot of those. Riptide's going to be able to do some good damage to this ore refinery. Bullfrogs and Stingrays Going to be trying to push that away. Riptide's coming through the middle of the map. A very Riptide-heavy game. I think it was Hammer Tanks must have been banned. Maybe Hammer Tanks and Sickles? I don't remember. Have we seen a Sickle yet this game? I've been thinking about other things because this is such a interesting game mode. It has so many cool options. And, yeah. Oil Derrick gets sniped. Fury playing it very close. You know, no multi-gunner turrets means that you got to keep it pretty close and tight. You have to maintain your defense very carefully because you've got no multi-gunner turrets to fall back on. Stingrays clean up that Riptide, but a Vindicator is coming to avenge his Riptide buddy. Cleans up one of the Stingrays. The other one does survive. Riptide splitting, one of them to the land, two to the sea, as that is actually where the airfield is also going to be. Conyard could even drop a Crusher Crane out there just so that he has the ability to heal up those air units. Bullfrogs and Flak Troopers definitely opening things up for Chris, or at least it feels like they should be opening things up for Chris. He's not playing a particularly aggressive game, but he's got those options. Flak Troopers chasing away those Riptides. Riptide's starting to cut through these conscript forces near the ramp on Chris's side. Riptide to the south, Flak Troopers and Bullfrogs, Stingrays in the water. Ooh, Cryo Shot gets the Ore Collector. Very nicely done there by Chris. Chris, perfect move here. Check this out from Chris. Fury going for the perfect freeze there. He gets the wall segments and just perfectly timed. Oh my gosh, Chris, what a save. What a move by Chris. What perfect execution. That was great by Chris. He saw it coming. He was able to stop it, not with units, but with the body blocking of those structures. Perfect save there by Chris. Gets his Harvester back to work and completely negates that attack with his quick thinking and his knowledge of blocking off that stuff. Great moves there by Chris. I guess if you had a crane, that you could have blocked off both sides a little bit more effectively. There was definitely an opportunity for Fury to still make that work, to gain the advantage from that Cryo Shot, but he just wasn't able to do it. Conscript going to be absorbing some of the attention of those Javelin Soldiers, so the Twin Blades get a free jump on those Javelin Soldiers. No IFVs, no multi-gunner turrets. Real problem right now as no, that's not an Apollo. I thought that was an Apollo coming in, but the Vindicators are instead going to be the thing that pushes away these Twin Blades, and of course the Twin Blades going to be getting scared off by those Javelin Soldiers. Athena Cannon moving forward. Fury is finally powered up to Tier 3. He is ready to go. And this is the point where Athena Cannons with, I think, no Hammer Tanks, Terror Drones, or the other thing to stop them, they might be able to just poke away at this base forever, and we'll see how Chris is able to do with the defense. I assume he's going to want to jump on the Athena Cannon with the Twin Blades, which is why the Javelin Soldiers are here. The Bear gets one of the Javelin Soldiers, and that's enough space for the Athena Cannon to potentially get popped here. Gets eliminated. The Flak Troopers trying to close in on the Riptides and the reinforcements. The Bear's a good choice for Chris to keep them along with this army. The barracks is alive. The refinery is here. The Cryo Shot going to be firing off. Does Chris have any response? Maybe his own toxin drop in the middle of the map or something. 4 refinery versus 4 refinery coming up relatively soon. Chris, not much in the way of harassment. I mean, not having Terror Drones is a big part of that, but he could be trying with Stingrays or with his Twin Blades. He could be trying something around the edges of the map. Riptide, one of them going to get jumped on by this many Flak Troopers, and the Javelin Soldiers almost. There's the roar, locking down a big chunk of those Javelin Soldiers. The Vindicators returning from an attack run, but these Twin Blades being controlled carefully to keep them low on health, but not dead until the Apollos finally show up, and the Mirage tank might be too much for this army to deal with. The Riptide's pushing forward, the Bullfrogs to scare away the Apollos, but it's a little too late. The damage has been done, but is it enough? Fury pushing Chris back, denying that attack, but his Riptides won't last forever against these Twin Blades, but they will last a little while longer. Finally, the Riptide's getting cleaned up. The Apollos probably coming in for another pass as the Bullfrogs swing to the south side. And the Apollos know the Apollos don't find an opening. They don't find an opportunity to swing back in there. These two Apollos so low on health. Chris pulls his MCV back. The Mirage tank and the Athena cannon pushing forward. The Bears being dealt with. But now the Javelin soldiers might be too far back. The Bears coming forward. Satellite's going to be raining down. One Javelin soldier gets a kill. The Apollos swinging in for just another pass. They got just enough health to survive that. And the Satellites, actually, it looks like, do catch that Athena cannon. Nicely done there by Chris. Vindicators pulling to the left. Meanwhile, in the middle of the map, the Apollos catching another Twin Blade for free. Barely going down there as the Bullfrogs respond. Chris just barely keeping himself in this game, it feels like. He had a good shot earlier on, but ever since those Athena cannons came out, it feels like Fury has been doing a better job of figuring out what composition works with this ban against Soviets. The Apollo shows up. Mirage tank kills a bear. That's, I mean, those Mirage tanks could have kept going. The Bullfrogs might be sort of a thing you have to embrace and just drop another airfield, get out more Apollos, and just know that the Apollos are going to die. But if you can kill those Twin Blades, the Mirage tanks can pretty easily deal with everything else on the ground. The Stingrays will help with the defense. But Chris, well, he just commits to it. He gets both of the Twin Blades, or maybe even three of the Twin Blades, with those Apollos. He loses them both, but that's okay. Cutting down those Twin Blades is worth sacrificing a couple of Apollos for. Your opponent doesn't have a whole lot of stuff that the Apollos need to be shooting other than the Twin Blades, so if Chris has just got the Twin Blades, then the Apollos are a good sacrifice to make for them. And I mean, even as long as you do 1-to-1, then it's even cost efficient. No IFVs really makes this kind of awkward because the Apollos do have that return to base. They have to go refuel. They have that lower health, and they don't, you know, you can only produce 4 of them per airfield. They don't have the spam ability of IFVs. But Fury seems to be making it work. Slow but steady, that's the name of the game. Moving forward, bears or dogs with Javelin soldiers to help with the bears. Mirage tanks in front of the Javelins. And those 2-3 Mirage tanks perfectly lined up with a real tree, real in quotes there, as Fury moves forward. Baby Bert signing into this as well, as he is going to be putting his own bans in place. Ooh, the Athena cannon gets sniped. Those Twin Blades, they really doesn't take much to kill an Athena cannon. You don't think of an Athena cannon as dying when 2 Twin Blades fly over top of it, but they really do. Cryoblast firing off, but it doesn't actually freeze anything. It misses the Harvester, the airfield, and the ore refinery, both surviving that. And the Apollo's getting cleaned up. The Vindicator's taking some damage as well. One goes down, the second one manages to escape. And it looks like Chris, he's going to, well, did he never get this? I never paid attention. No, he never got that 4th up. He started building it a long time ago, but I got distracted with other stuff, and he never got that 4th refinery up and running. This is so many Mirage tanks. Again, I feel like one of the side effects of this ban mode, well, one of the definite side effects is everyone plays it out a little bit more cautiously, and part of that is you're missing a chunk of your army, but then also a part of that must just be unfamiliarity. You're not sure what exactly you should do, what's strong, what's not strong. This is an obvious move by Chris, this exact sort of thing. Every time the army retreats, Javelin soldiers can't be doing their thing. So that's your opportunity to try and jump on these Mirage tanks. The Apollo's swinging through, the Vindicators making more and more bombing runs. 4th refinery finally up and running. Not paid for itself just yet, but the aircraft carrier is now out. Fury finding an angle for a potential comeback here, or not even a comeback, but just a straight-up win. The aircraft carrier definitely being a choice there. EMP is still going to be powerful, even if it just locks down the bullfrogs. That could be a win in itself. The Apollo is here. The Twin Blades are not going to be stopped, though, as the Apollos get chased away, or they're literally out of ammo. I'm not sure which one it is, but this aircraft carrier I don't think will get another bombing run out. It goes down. The refinery does survive. Fury trying to open up an opportunity for himself to attack in the middle of the map, but I don't know that it actually works. And the sentry bombers return back home. You guys can say goodnight to Baby Bert. He's off to bed. Chronosphere, okay. So that's something I hadn't really thought about, but, you know, Chronosphere, Iron Curtain, those could potentially play a factor in this as well. More so maybe the Chronosphere, depending on what you have banned of your opponent. For example, if you took out a lot of their naval stuff, or if you took out a lot of their ground stuff. Ooh, big group of Tesla troopers getting eliminated there. But I'm just thinking about the potential to teleport away a chunk of your opponent's army if, for example, you ban all of their anti-infantry except for their bullfrogs. And then just before a big attack, you Chronosphere their bullfrogs into the middle of your army, or, you know, just behind your army or whatever, so that you can trap them and kill them. And then you've banned flak troopers and MiGs, so they have no other anti-air, something like that. And then you could use your third ban on, I don't know, hammer tanks or whatever. So then your opponent thinks bullfrogs are a good idea, but really your plan is just to Chronosphere them. Refinery goes down. The MiG should be able to get one of these sentry bombers. Very nicely done there. The bullfrogs won't be able to get the kill on the second sentry bomber as Fury returns back home again. Very slow, very cautious game. Not willing to make big moves quickly. Ore Refinery sticking around for a little bit longer. It did not pay for itself, so Chris is going to be $4 grand in the hole, and he's only got 1,000 credits out of that Ore Refinery. Fury sniping that Ore Refinery or delaying it multiple times. Another aircraft carrier is out. Hydrofoil and an assault destroyer are here. Chris, he has a strong ground army, but he just doesn't necessarily have the space. It feels like Fury is starting to choke him out. The Fury is causing a lot of problems. Cryoblast fires off, but Toxins finally get the big group of Javelin soldiers, and this could be the moment if the Hydrofoils hadn't already softened up, weakened, and killed the Twin Blades in the middle of the ocean. It might have been a stronger attack. Soviet satellites coming in as the Tesla troopers trying to close the distance against the Mirage tanks, but there are just so many Mirage tanks at this point. The Bears getting cleaned up, and that attack going so poorly for Chris. I'm not sure if that was maybe poor management or what, but that attack just fell apart for Chris. He was hoping to really land something there with that combination, the satellites and the ultra torpedoes landing nice, and the Toxins coming in pretty much at the same time. Nice snipe of that aircraft carrier. Hydrofoil and assault destroyer is too slow of an attack group to stop 2 Akula subs. You can keep going with your Hydrofoil, but that won't last forever. 10 seconds almost on the clock for the Chronosphere. Once again, these sentry bombers being such a pain for Chris. Fury having some real problems. Lovely roar from those War Bears. Wasn't quite as effective as it could have been, but he's going to try again. Twin Blades coming in here while the distraction is happening. Perfect execution of that Athena cannon. Bears lock down some stuff, but not stopping the Mirage tanks. Javelin soldiers still remain. Is it enough to stop the Twin Blades? Additional Mirage field is here just as the Bullfrogs, or just as the Javelin soldiers come back online. No Apollos necessary. There's the Chronosphere of the MCV onto the building, and Chris is dead in the water. His army is gone. His MCV has been eliminated, and he's got no way to stop this many Mirage tanks. GG gets called. Chris loses game number 5, and that puts Fury up to match point in this best of 7. You cannot accuse these games of looking the same. The play is, it tends to be more defensively oriented. Slower builds, more cautious, sure, but the individual strategies and army compositions vary quite a lot, and that's something that I'm loving about this. again, I think it's one of those things that could develop a little bit more. The meta could develop, and people could kind of optimize what is best. Anyways, let's move on to game number 6. So what do you think? Game number 6. Your back is against the wall. The score is 3-2. You have a real chance to make it 3-3. Come back in this series. What do you ban as the orange Soviets on the left? This is Chris. I think this is going to be a really weird-looking game. Now, on the right side, as the green allies, this is Fury. All right, do you have any bets to place? What are these two guys going to ban? Now, Chris's bans may be a little bit more obvious, so we'll see what Fury is missing first. Or, I guess we won't see it, but I do want to check one thing. Yeah, interesting. So Chris banned Athena cannons, cryocopters, and Mirage tanks. Cryocopters, of course, permaban, but Athena cannon and Mirage tanks, that's how Fury won the game last time. So it feels very reactionary to ban those things. Still leave sentry bombers, Vindicators, Apollos, which were also a critical part of how Fury won that game previously. Those were his tools to keep the attacks coming while he was holding the ground with no multi-gunner turrets. So, we'll see. But on the Chris side of things, will he even build a war factory? Perhaps. But he will not be able to build hammer tanks, terror drones, or sickles. So, and it looked like Chris had 7 grand when Fury had only 4, which I didn't check right at the start of the match to see, before they had really spent very much money. They had both spent a decent amount by that point. But I think Chris got 2,000 credits for blocking Mirage tanks and Athena cannons. I'm not sure how or why, but yeah, he gets an additional 2,000 credits for blocking those things from his opponent. Peacekeepers and dogs representing for Fury. He's going to have to do this all with early and mid-game tools, which seems kind of fine. The lack of cryocopters is obviously the big hurt. But, ooh, if this dog gets a roar off in the middle, oh, he roared too early, he barked too early. These conscripts are just going to keep on pushing forward. And, well, Chris, he's got a ton of infantry, and this is going to keep Fury busy one way or the other. Chris going for a high ground expansion. So at the very least, he's causing some problems for Fury and keeping Fury off his back. This is all fine for Chris. Yes, get up a 3rd refinery, get up a naval yard maybe even, or get out your super reactor before your opponent even has an opportunity to cross to your side of the map. Keep your opponent busy over there. Keep them repairing their MCV and running it around. Meanwhile, Chris needs to get up that super reactor, get out that airfield, start building some things. He can twin frog. Chris can twin frog. Full on and direct. He can just do it straight up. War Factory for only Bullfrog seems kind of silly, but for the first part of the game, that is what the deal is. 3rd refinery coming up. Wall's going to begin. Super reactor? It's still just double barracks for Chris, so he's going to keep these Riptides at bay with just his MCV and his flak troopers, it seems. I mean, hey, it could work. IFVs and, yeah, Fury. I mean, no Athena cannons, no Mirage tanks, so no reason to go up to Tier 3 unless you really want your sentry bombers. Chris catches one of the Riptides. Good move by Chris. Chris is going to be able to do it with just flak cannons. I mean, flak troopers, rather. Still needs to get his super reactor out. I mean, he doesn't have to do this all with Twin Blades, but I assume Twin Blades are going to be a crucial part of his game-winning strategy. Huh. So he's got himself a Sniper IFV, which I assume means he went up to Spies, but then he also moved his MCV, so he's lost that Tier 2. And the thing is the Spy going to jump out at any point and jump into something? Quite possibly. We might see a Spy return to form. Sniper IFV to keep down these infantry numbers. Chris going to try and just overwhelm this IFV. Sentry Gun also a good choice to kill off that IFV. Riptide looking for an opening, looking for an opportunity. Anything inside of that Riptide? Maybe not. IFV darts through the middle of that infantry army. And one Peacekeeper. So lonely next to all those bears. No friends to help him out against those bears. All right, super reactor finally beginning for Chris. He's pretty safe, but, ooh, that conscript getting a fully heroic status from killing off that one peacekeeper. All right, one reactor will get targeted down by that Riptide, or refinery running around. Oh, okay. There's the spy inside of the IFV. I wasn't sure where he had gone. I was getting a little bit worried. Ooh, the IFV almost gets caught. Chris doesn't manage to get the kill, but finally the airfield has started. Well, the more IFVs you have running around doing other things, the less there are going to be to kill off the Twin Blades, perhaps. And Chris, he might go up to a war factory and get tier 3 and try and do it all just off of 3 bases, 3 refineries. Riptide goes down. The spy inside of a fresh IFV. The other IFV probably off to get repairs. And I mean, you can always try the old run up with the spy to try and bribe a bunch of units all at once. Could be a way to try and deal with that group of infantry. Sentry guns, good choice from Chris. Again, very cautious defensive posturing from Chris. MCV, you know, pulled down to the low ground pretty much immediately. Super reactor in a pretty conservative spot, guarding with 2 sentry guns. You gotta be careful against this sneaky allied play. I mean, you have no Athena cannons to worry about, but sentry bombers, aircraft carriers, definitely still artillery options to be dealt with at some point. Twin Blade, okay, gonna drop off some flak troopers. Yeah, flak troopers to mine this ore refiner. That's totally fine. Pull the harvester away. That's great. He's gonna satellite drop and flak trooper kill off that ore refinery. Good move there by Chris. Oh, if he can make it into the Civ structure, that would be nice. It's not a game-winning move, but every bit of damage you can get definitely helps. Not to be. Instead, the flak troopers go down. And man, you have to give it to Fury. He is getting some real value out of the spy, but the Twin Blades are now here, so easy snipe of that spy and the IFV for these Twin Blades. Nice rotation by Chris, pulling those Twin Blades along so that they get damage, they absorb damage evenly, and none of them taking too much damage. Crusher Crane, in this case, that's definitely worth it. Those Twin Blades, healing them up is cheaper than the Crusher Crane, so you might as well try it out. Tier 3 getting ready to go for Fury. Is it going to be sentry bombers? I guess it must be. I mean, he could go naval yard. Oh, okay. He just has to sell off his airfield to get himself the refinery back out and running. 4th refinery potentially coming up for Fury. He's got the expansion point, but Chris might already be thinking this, and a Kula sub or 2 could really put a damper on that expansion. Double walls at that expansion on the high ground for Chris. Definitely a good choice. Man, without the Athena without the cryocopter, a lot of Soviet compositions make more sense. This mass infantry with the Twin Blades is definitely something that works quite nicely when you don't have a couple of cryocopters to freeze down all of your harvesters when you're not looking. Because, of course, the infantry will never respond to a cryocopter Vindicator harassment in time. I mean, MiGs and Bullfrogs have a hard enough time responding to that, getting around all of the terrain of the map here and there. But, I guess he didn't know. It was Hammer Tanks, Sickles, and Terror Drones, so he actually has Bullfrogs. He can respond via the ground. But, yeah, flak troopers are never going to respond to a cryocopter harass in time. Can't really blame Chris for not getting a war factory. Now that he's got tier 3 coming along, he might go for some V4s or some APOC tanks. IFV pulls back. Twin Blades doing a little bit of a dance there. Twin Frog taking a long time to actually appear in this game, despite both of those units being available. Chronosphere back on the map. And even the scanner sweep getting deployed there by Fury. He wanted to see out onto the water to see exactly what Chris was doing out there, if he should be worried. Chris, I don't think, has ID'd that there is a expansion on the water. I think he probably would have built at least a Stingray, maybe even a couple of Kula subs to deal with that if he had realized that. Satellite drop on that one power plant, possibly just a delay. Oh, yep, that's low power mode for Fury, so that sends Chris a little bit of a signal. Number one, sniping a single power plant can be a good way to delay that chronosphere. And even if he dodges in here right now, would be a great time to hit with some Twin Blades, hit that other power plant. Oh, he gets sold off or got rid of that sentry gun. Oh, that was a money precision bomber hit. Cleaning up the Bullfrog, and one Terror Drone is now out. This Terror Drone is actually extremely valuable to Chris because of the Terror Drone surprise. And, ooh, he's not going to jump on it. Fury is going to try and get the kill. Twin Blades coming in. They're pushing away the Riptides, splitting the Twin Blades to avoid the IFV damage, but the APOC tank is now here. IFVs will have a real troubled time dealing with an APOC tank. This is where a grinder can actually be a pretty good thing. The Crusher Crane, rather, can be a pretty good thing to spawn in some additional Terror Drones, especially if you get the high production upgrade. And a Dreadnought is here. Can you believe it, boys and girls? Chris going to be bringing out the Dreadnought power. Kills off the War Factory. Very nicely done there by Chris. And, well, that'll cause some real problems for Fury. But Chronosphere might be the sort of game loser for Fury. He doesn't have a good answer to this Dreadnought. And if it's going to kill that much stuff... Ooh, Engineer jumps inside of that. So actually, the Riptides may kill off this Dreadnought in time. The Dreadnought burns so much of its health trying to get the kill there. Second heal up of that Engineer. All right, Twin Blades cutting to the north side. Is he going to go for the power plant snipe? I feel like the power plant snipe is a good play. You could kill off two of those power plants relatively easily. The Bear coming in for the scout or something, I'm not sure. As the Riptide's now going to just turn their guns to this expansion. Twin Blade's going to be responding to that. 20 seconds or so left on the Chronosphere clock. Counting down. That was a terrible attack, all things considered. It made sense in the moment why Fury did that, but that just turned terrible with the Stingray overcharge and with the Twin Blades getting their kill. Oh, these two APOC tanks are an obvious target. Split your APOCs. Split your APOCs. You got 2 seconds to split your APOCs. Oh, okay, there we go. Chris splits the APOCs in time. Still, one of them will probably get deleted, but the other one will survive. Chronosphere's ready. The APOC tanks are on a collision course with themselves. Grab the IFV with the Spy, and the Spy actually could run forward and go for the APOC tanks. There's nothing to stop that. Chronosphere. No, he won't be able to deny it, and the APOC tank gets taken over. The Spy with the bribe, and now the APOC tank is going to die. The grinder activation from Fury. Chris gets eliminated. The Terror Drone for Chris, rather, gets eliminated. Real tough there. Toxins called in. Chris going for the army. How is he going to deal with this? Natasha can go for the snipe. Snipe out the pilot. And there's going to be the Chronosphere away out onto the water, I assume. Goodbye, APOC tanks, wherever they may be. Out there on the water, 2 Terror Drones spawn in. And no snipe of that pilot. There it is. The Bear needs to jump inside of that APOC tank. What? Did a Guardian tank? You can what? You can have a tank powered by a tank? Did we just see that? I need to check the replay on that one. What? I have never seen such a thing. Natasha going to be getting sniped as the APOC tank saves Natasha from those IFVs, and the dogs don't get the kill either. Natasha actually coming in to be a commando, to be a VIP for Chris in this game. and 2 Terror Drones, fresh and ready to go, could go ahead and harass these Harvesters. The Bear gets the kill on the Javelin Soldier, and Chris has, almost through just a couple of small moments, come out massively ahead in this moment, and he's actually going to get the infect on one of those Harvesters, and I'm not sure where this other Terror Drone is going, but he's going to get the infect on an additional IFV, and the IFV is not actually being sent off for repairs, so both of these units are actually going to die from this Terror Drone. The IFV may barely survive here as it's moments away, but the Terror Drone doesn't escape as it gets another infect, and now surely it will be repaired as this other Terror Drone is not heading out to the water, which maybe Chris truly doesn't know about this water expansion. Out there on the big blue open sea, Bears being packed along with these APOC tanks. Fury, he's got 5 minutes and a little bit left on that Proton Collider. Something tells me he may not have 5 minutes left in this game. I'm very sad that Chris never found an opportunity to get out an additional Dreadnought, but the first one was a fantastic delay tactic for him in this moment. APOC tanks closing in, but only one remains. Actually, no, 2 remain, as the Guardian tank has not been able to finish off the first one, and that Laser Painter, such a powerful tool in the hands of an allied player. APOC tanks pushing forward. Not enough power plants have gone down, and actually all of the APOC tanks get eliminated. Reinforcing APOC tank shows up, but it may not actually be enough. The Vindicators need to refuel and get on this APOC tank. Grinder's going to break down one of the Guardian tanks, but no, he doesn't get the kill on the Terror Drone. Finally, actually, another Dreadnought. It was I not paying attention to Chris. Not Chris not building a Dreadnought, as the power plant's getting shut down with only 20 seconds left. The Bullfrogs, or the Barracks, going to be getting targeted down. Chris can't decide what he wants to shoot more. There's the power plant, but with all of the other stuff that Chris has shot up, it's not actually enough to send him into low power mode. Only 5 seconds remaining. Not enough as the Vindicators clean up that Dreadnought. The Chronosphere is ready. Could just Chronosphere Natasha. Kill her. The Twin Blades still circling around. I don't think they've been healed up very much. Yeah, it looks like they've taken some damage. Chronosphere ready to go. Natasha or the APOC, don't make it an easy decision. The Stingray finally goes down. That Stingray that was hanging out over here next to this Harvester for a long time there, Buds. Ooh, if Fury could only see this, that would be a money grab for sure. Toxins directly on top of the Barracks. Chris has not been able to cut through the defense of Fury. And Fury has been so good at holding this position, he might just eventually win out in a war of attrition. I feel like Chris has kind of maneuvered himself into a better overall position, but it feels like he can't finish the game out, which means Fury might just win, not by default, but Fury might win the long game. Chronosphere to eliminate. Okay, there it is. Yep, Chronosphere to eliminate the Dreadnought. Gets the kill. If only there was a second Dreadnought. Natasha closing in on the front door. A couple of APOC tanks as well. Got to be careful of those spies. And actually, perfect move here, pulling the Twin Blades in. I'm actually surprised we haven't seen more Apollos, considering that Twin Blades are an option. And at this point, yeah, the Proton Collider is close enough to death that the Twin Blades can just run in and get the kill. Bullfrogs getting the kill on 2 Vindicators, the third one barely escaping, and the Guardian tanks heavily damaged from their attack with those APOC tanks. Ooh, Engineer into the Proton Collider, so never mind about Chris dodging in there with his couple of Twin Blades. APOC tanks knocking on your front door. They're going to bust down your walls. That won't last very long at all. 4 APOC tanks. Where's your spy? Here it actually is. Once again, Chris cautious of the spy. He needs to send those Twin Blades in. If you lose a couple of them, it's worth it, but not if he just builds another spy. Natasha also here, the walls getting reestablished. It's a dance of the walls and the spy, but the Dreadnought is here. 1:43 left, and not enough Vindicators to go for the kill. Javelin Soldier gets sniped, but it was really a spy as Natasha goes down. The Vindicator's moving in for the kill, and the Dreadnought wasting its ammunition. But Chris may finally have enough to take this game. The Guardian tank goes down. The APOC tanks will level this war factory, and one APOC goes down. A fully heroic Vindicator is a powerful thing nonetheless. APOC tanks take down the war factory. 1 minute left on the chronosphere. The Bullfrogs still can't get a kill. They finally kill off that Vindicator, and finally every single Vindicator goes down. The IFVs are here. The Precision Bomber getting some damage in as well, but the Proton Collider may be the target that takes the attention. Fury moving in here, trying to eliminate these APOC tanks, using that laser painter as much as he can. A multi-gunner turret going down on the front lines, but it gets deleted almost immediately. Satellites getting called in, and Chris is finally broken through the defense of Fury. Fury can't win in the long game because he's going to die right here. Soviet power supreme. Not every game, but in this one, certainly. Fury and Chris, a fantastic series, all things considered. It's almost like you have put some artificial brakes on the development of the game. When I say that, I mean like the pacing, because Command & Conquer games are usually much shorter, but these, because of how cautiously everyone has to play these out, these are tending to be much longer games, which, you know, gives you different opportunities and has different pros and cons. But I feel like this is one of those things where not every game do I want to be ban mode, but I love seeing this kind of stuff. Not every game do I want to be Archon mode, but I love seeing this kind of stuff. So that'll do it for game number 6. And actually, that sends us into an ace match as Chris ties up the score. Ooh, it looked like Fury was going to close things out, but Chris is sending us to game 7 of 7 in this series. And of course, we're still kicking it on Infinity Isle as the Green Empire on the left side. Place your final bets. This is Fury. And as the Orange Soviets, staying with his Soviets the whole time, this is Chris. All right, what did they ban? And it does indeed, I will tell you this much, I have confirmed that in the game, the player who bans a Tier 3 unit of their opponent also receives an extra $1,000 of cash. Which seems weird because your opponent can't use a Tier 3 unit and you get an extra $1,000. But I don't know. I don't know what the thinking is behind that, but it's a rule, so there you go. All right. Fury cannot build Tengus, Wave Force Artillery, or King Onis. So that seems pretty obvious. The Tengus, King Onis, and the Wave Force Artillery, okay. Still leaves Shogun battleships, but no Wave Force Artillery. Well, that really cuts out the late game, and Tengus really cuts down the early game, so we'll see how Chris is able to do this. But Chris is going to have to do it with no hammer tanks, no terror drones, and no twin blades. So no Tengus, but no twin blades. Even trade there in a lot of ways, and well, this could actually be problematic. No, never mind. Imperial Warrior for the sell-off. The Bear goes down as well. Additional reactor. Chris loves this 2-reactor setup. Some players are a little more greedy, a little more risky. They go right into that super reactor with only 1 reactor on the field. That can cause some problems. That's exactly what Chris is doing right now. Most of the time it's fine, but that can cause some problems if your base gets cycled around a little bit, and then you're kind of like mid to late game, you're rebuilding a reactor to open up more stuff on the tech tree, but most of the time it's fine. But I did notice that Chris, in some of these games, has been playing out them a little bit more cautiously with the 2 reactors before the super reactor, and just delaying the super reactor by a good bit. But I mean, no hammer tanks and no twin blades, so what do you even want the super reactor for? Game number 7, the Bear misplaced a little bit here, so the ore refinery will be established, no problemo, by Fury. And it looks like Fury is going to be playing a much more Navy-focused match. We'll see if this naval yard sticks around for too much longer, but Yari mini-sub right out of the gate. Tsunami tanks are still very much an option, and Striker VXs. So we'll see, how is Chris going to try and win this against those types of units. But we might just see a sort of rush to Shogun battleships. Maybe even a Yuriko Omega mixed in there because, hey, late game, no Wave Force Artillery, you're going to find something else to work for you, and Shogun Battleship on Infinity Isle is a great choice. Walls coming up in the middle of the map for Fury. Chris, is he going to play an APOC-heavy style? Maybe we see Natasha again, like we did in the last one. And Battle Lab pretty much right out of the gate, so yes, Chris is indeed going late game. I feel like APOC tanks are almost essential in this match. You got no hammer tanks. You need something on the ground to do the shooting, to the old Blastarino. Ooh, even a Sea-Wing. How about that? Not something you see very often. It does take quite a while for a Sea-Wing to kill off a Harvester. Even an allied Harvester takes a bit of damage from a Sea-Wing. But that's one option. As you can see, the Bullfrog scares away the Sea-Wing pretty darn quickly. Two Tsunami tanks along the north side of the map. What is Chris going to do to stop this? Is it going to be, Akula subs and their Stingrays? What is Chris's real plan? Got no hammer tanks. What are you going to do? Got no twin blades. What are you going to do? Make 1,000 sickles, I guess. No APOC tanks on the way. I mean, the Battle Lab is here, but there are no APOC tanks on the way. Reactor and a Tesla coil. The Tesla coil can't be approached from one side, so that's definitely a nice thing for Chris. Only one way for those, well, they might be able to shoot in between this gap, basically. Kind of that kind of a line. Wall swag in the middle of the map. Look at this guy building those walls, channeling his inner eminence. All right, Tsunami tanks coming in. Only 2 of them, so this isn't that scary of an attacking force, but when you've got no hammer tanks and no twin blades, it becomes a lot more scary. Terror drones could also tear this apart pretty easily, but again. All right, first APOC tank. Yes, it is an APOC tank going for the defense here, as Chris is going to almost certainly be able to grab one of these Tsunami tanks. Maybe we'll get the kill on both of them. Yeah, the second one is like, I'm out of here. Run for the hills, buddy. Natasha now out on the field as well. Ooh, does a little bit of splash damage to that Battle Lab as it dies. MCV taking a bit of damage from that Tsunami tank and not even going to drop that additional refinery. Just packs up before it's even ready to go. All right, Shogun battleships, that is right. We saw a Tier 3 before our 4th refinery from our Empire player. Get up to those Shogun battleships. That is what you have to do. Start cutting down the middle of the map. Ooh, this Bullfrog getting stuck on the low ground. The pathing and the terrain kind of causing some problems for Chris. Well, Chris is going to be able to grab the other Tsunami tank as well. Nicely done. Might actually do a little bit of splash damage with the honorable discharge, but Chris will heal that MCV right back up. I guess if you don't have a lot to build on land, then you just don't build anything. Fury is maybe just going to fall down at the last hurdle after a fantastic best-of-7 series, quite back and forth, quite a lot of game going on. Fury is kind of falling down now in the last moment. Natasha going to try and jump inside of that building, but he doesn't get her inside. And, well, there goes the MCV. Here goes the power plant after that. And this might just be a little bit too much for Fury to deal with one single APOC tank right down the middle of the map. Shogun battleship taking the shots, and it is going to be maybe a base race, but one that Chris has a distinct advantage in that he can build more buildings. He just heads out to the water, drops an additional refinery, and he's going to be able to shut this down eventually. One more Sea-Wing does go down, or I guess if there are Sky-Wings actually in this mode before the Bullfrog gets eliminated, but more Bullfrogs can be sent in to be reinforcements. And this APOC tank is going to take a lot of damage from Sky-Wings before it eventually goes down. Returning bullfrogs, or bullfrogs coming in for reinforcements, getting harassed. Engineer hanging out. APOC tank clearing pretty much everything out. In the Shogun battleship, the APOC tank, I think, was trying to draw it in closer to land so that he could crash it upon the reefs, so he could kill off that Shogun battleship more easily. The bear is going to go for the kill on the engineer, I assume. No, the bear actually gets sniped by the Skywings, and this APOC tank is... I don't know where the APOC tank is going. Yari Minisub going to be harassing this expansion. Chris sends Natasha into the Shogun battleship. Okay, now the APOC tank is going to get back to work. I think Chris was maybe over-responding to that Shogun battleship because he didn't have like a clear idea, so he sent the APOC tank back because he figured it would be better to have that back there so he could defend, and then he also decided to snipe it with Natasha and then send Natasha in to, you know, capture it. So I think it was a bunch of things all going on for Chris, and he kind of didn't realize it. But yeah, Fury falling apart very terribly here. Has rebuilt his MCV, so he spent the last minute or two just getting that MCV back out. $5 grand down the drain, and with these ore refineries dropping very quickly, this is something that is quite difficult for Fury to maintain, is the building of things. Whoop! Goodbye, Harvester. Shogun battleship continuing to make headway in the north, shutting down this expansion, possibly with the help of that Yari Minisub, but maybe just by itself. Chris's Shogun battleship, on the other hand, and actually it's going to be targeting down the Imperial docks, and Chris will pull this Shogun battleship into himself and clean that up very nicely. I don't know if an APOC tank can reach. No, it looks like it can't. It is just out of range, but he can get another Shogun battleship. No, he wasn't fast enough. The grinder treads were not activated. And unfortunately for Chris, he will miss the opportunity to kill that Shogun battleship, which the Shogun will eventually kill off his APOC tank. Chris, is he going to have enough to kill off Fury? I feel like Chris has got the better track record from this moment on, but... Ooh, gets that last power plant before the APOC tank dies. Oh, that Shogun battleship, it came so close to land, but if Chris had realized, he may have been able to do something about that. Natasha snipes another Shogun battleship, but not a lot of units for Chris to go out there and get it. Bullfrogs looking for a way to corner these Skywings. MiGs would also be a good choice, even just 2 MiGs to help hunt down these Skywings, because they are such a problem. Tank Buster is here. I don't know if sending Natasha every time, like build 4 bears or something. I don't know. Natasha is an expensive pilot for a Shogun battleship. But he stops the Shogun battleships. He can restart another Natasha, I guess. Chris doesn't have a lot of cash on account of 1 refinery. Oil Derrick, though, remains for both players. Fury spending some cash to get his Oil Derrick back up and running. Shoo! Chris actually lands the first big volley with the Shogun battleship war. Sea Wings running over the barracks. They are looking for some targets. Flak cannon will be a pretty easy way to push them back, at least from that small area. Tank Buster stopping this refinery from being established. Chris looking to defend this area. Yari Minisub might just try and play inside of the minimum attack range of the Shogun battleship. Gonna do some damage to these bullfrogs. Chris dropping satellites on himself. That was either a misclick, or I believe the satellites will bring down aircraft if they crash through them. So as the satellites are coming down from space, if there are aircraft in the way, it will just crash through the aircraft and kill the aircraft. I think that's how that works. Keeps his Tier 3 alive. That Battle Lab you don't want to give up, but the War Factory is more negotiable. Ooh, Yari Minisub goes down. Nicely done with that Shogun battleship with the rush on it. The ramming speed. What do they actually call that? Ramming speed, actually. Oh, that's it. And the Skywing's going to be pushed away. Fury has done an amazing job of buying himself so much time and space. He has pretty much been kicked to the edge of survival, and he is trying to fight for his life in that moment. And he's doing it with just Shogun battleships, so this may kind of be almost like a base race type of thing, but Chris may end up losing it because there are just more Shogun battleships on the enemy side, and Chris is down to not a lot of stuff, but he has got more buildings overall than his opponent. And now that he's got 2 refineries up and running, he may feel a little bit more confident to go ahead and get out a war factory, but he really needs something to deal with these Shogun battleships out here on the land, or out here on the water. And he may go for the old snipe on one and for the just regular kill on the other. Natasha? Ooh, Natasha, are you going to come out? Well, I don't know. Chris, on the other hand, he's going for the target, but he loses his own Shogun battleship, and oh, spawns in a terror drone, and he gets the infect. Oh, another terror drone? Yes, another terror drone, so he could actually get the kill on both of these Shogun battleships if the Skywing doesn't get the kill on this terror drone. No, he doesn't! He doesn't even need to. The Shogun battleships get the kill, and there is the kill of that battleship. The tank buster surprise getting called in for Fury, trying to snipe down some of these buildings. Another refinery gets eliminated. The harvester on this side gets eliminated. Chris just barely in this game. Fury just barely in this game. They're both just hanging on by a thread, by an ounce. Skywing's coming in. They get the kill. Okay, there we go. For a second, I thought they bypassed. And okay, you have to give it to Fury, coming back from with only an inch of his life, beaten within an inch of his life, I guess. But Fury coming back in a powerful way, and Chris gives it up. He calls the GG as the Skywings were targeting in on his Bullfrog, and Fury bringing the power for what felt like a definite comeback there. Chris pushing Fury to the edge, but not enough, just barely not enough to get the win. What a great series this has been. Fury and Chris playing out the ban mode from XYHC. What a delightful evening of Red Alert 3 this has been. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you give this a try. I hope XYHC keeps developing it. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. And this is Sybert, signing out.